Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be your new intern on the team this summer. So, how much do you guys get paid around here? Now, I started out as an intern at JP Morgan, and converting that internship into a grad offer was probably the best possible thing I could have done at the time, as it meant I didn't have to worry about any applications or interviews and could focus at my last year of university at getting the best possible grade. Now, having been through the process and seen several successful and unsuccessful interns at getting the grad offer, I'm going to be listing 7 golden rules that all interns should follow to make sure they maximize their chances of converting that internship into a grad offer. So I started with this rule as number 1, as it's probably the most important. If you think the interview stage is over, then you're going to be mistaken. Your internship is essentially a 10-week interview process, and you should treat it just as such. So that means coming to work looking presentable every single day, arriving on time, or in fact, you'd probably arrive a little bit earlier for your interview, so that means doing the same for work. And if you finish for the day, that doesn't necessarily mean you should leave work early. Just like an interview process, if there's several minutes left at the end, you'll be utilizing that to ask as many questions. So that means looking around to see who else needs your help and learning as much as possible, just like you would do at an interview. And importantly, the last point about treating this like an interview is to always act professional, and that goes for all intern events as well. Now, some of the events might be just with your fellow grads, but that doesn't mean that you should treat it just like a house party, or worse, and I've seen this happen. Don't treat it as if you're on the Wolf of Wall Street. Now, I'm not saying act super formal for the full 10 weeks, as you probably find that hard to do, and you wouldn't end up gelling with your colleagues if you did that. The point I want everyone to remember is that you're always going to be judged on your attitude and behavior by all of the stakeholders that you interact with during your internship. So always make sure you behave as professionally as possible, just like you would at an interview. Now, the second golden rule that all interns should follow is to not be a smartass at work. Being keen at work is super important to show that you're eager, but you shouldn't go around picking holes in what people do or complaining about the work you're doing, or worse yet, complaining about the work other people are doing and questioning why they do that every single day. As an intern, you're expected to bring fresh ideas and viewpoints, but that doesn't mean bringing up disagreements or raising issues just for the sake of it. One thing people really hate from interns are those people who after 2 years of university act like they know everything. As an intern, your role is to be a sponge and learn and absorb as much as possible. If you do find out something that you're not sure why they're doing it, or there's a task that you don't fully get the point of, then definitely bring it up and ask the right questions, but do it in a way that shows that you're keen to learn the background and context of it rather than just trying to pick out flaws. The third rule for interns, and this is super important for self-development, is to learn around the job. Banks and accounting firms have a vast array of training materials, and they often use a lot of real-life examples in those materials rather than just simple textbook definitions. Moreover, you'll often find that your colleagues have amassed a lot of training decks over the years from various teams. This is a great time to learn from those online materials and training decks, and then immediately turn to your colleagues and ask them to explain how they utilize that in a real-life example. I promise you, seeing textbook definitions and then seeing how things work in real life are totally different scenarios. Your internship is a really great opportunity to see how the models and concepts that you've learned at university are actually used in real life, or in some cases not even considered. Now in this section, I'm not going to be focusing on what to say or why networking is important. I've already made a video on that, and I'm going to put that in the description box below if you need to have a look at it. But I want to emphasize that networking is a key part of your internship. The first network that you should focus on should be your fellow interns. Now these are going to be people that you start your career with and progress as you move up the career ladder. Now on your internship, you should try and be fixing 1 coffee chat per day with someone new that you haven't talked to before. Now, when it comes to networking with different peoples across the bank or accounting firm for having coffee chats, it's important you actually come with an agenda and know what you want from the session. There's no point of turning up and just expecting conversations to flow, as this is going to make you look very underprepared. Now, I always recommend having several questions already prepared and see where the conversation goes. So these questions could be, how did you get to this position? What kind of skills and qualifications do you need? Or what does a normal day look like in your kind of role? Now, your manager is always going to follow up with whoever you had the coffee chats with, and they're going to have a conversation about how prepared you were and what kind of questions you were asking. If it comes across that you weren't prepared, or you weren't really sure why you asked that one specific person about why you wanted to meet them, then this is negatively going to impact you in your reviews and converting that internship into a grad offer. Now, the next golden rule that all interns should follow is to show that you have leadership capability. Now, you might be thinking, how am I supposed to show that? I'm an intern, I'm at the bottom of the corporate ladder, and that's true. But importantly, the skills to be a leader shouldn't depend if you're a CEO, managing director, or an intern. Someone that is a leader always has those skills, regardless of the level that they're at. Now, some of the ways that you as an intern could show to your manager that you possess these leadership skills and qualities could be teaching a fellow intern about the role that you do, as well as what contribution your team makes to the company as a whole. Or if there's a meeting coming up ahead, making sure there's an agenda set and printing out all material ahead of time. Or one of the best ways that an intern can add value is if there's a task that you do every day, making sure the standard operating procedure is up to date and reviewing it to make sure nothing else needs to be added. Or if there does need to be added, make sure you do that on your own initiative. Or better yet, if there is no standard operating procedure for the task that you're doing, write one. It's by doing things on your own accord that'll show other people that you have the capability of being a leadership and you're not just going to be someone who takes orders and doesn't want to take responsibility. Now, the next golden rule for all interns to follow is about having great time management skills. All interns, when compared at the end of the internship, will have a discussion by the managers about how well they manage projects and deliver the goals on time. Now, working now at a bank or an accounting firm is not the same as being at university. All work that you do and your colleagues do will have a consequence in terms of the money that the company can generate. So it's important that you understand when given a task, the ETA of something that's required, as well as a priority of it, so that you can balance the work that you already have with the new project that you're given. And if there's something that comes up in the middle of the task which may delay you, it's important, it's very, very important actually, to make sure you communicate that to your stakeholders so they know that their work is also going to be delayed. It's always important that you give something a little bit later, but complete with what was required from you, rather than on time, but incomplete. Now, the last rule that all interns should follow on when it comes to the internship is around holidays. On a 10-week internship, you'll typically get around 5 days of holiday. And this might sound controversial, but I wouldn't recommend everyone to take those 5 days. There might be some days where you'll have to take off, but you're not in control of them, such as a graduation ceremony or a family member might be ill that you have to care for. I'm not necessarily talking about that, but I'm talking about just taking 5 days of holidays for the sake of it. Now, you only have 10 weeks to impress your team, and just like an interview where you arrive early and you leave right until the end of the interview, it's important you show as much as possible to your team and your manager that you have the right skills to succeed, that you have the right capabilities to show and be an asset to the team, and that you can be a value for the company to hire as a graduate role. Those are my 7 golden rules that I advise all interns to follow. If you agree or disagree with them, put them in the comments box below. And the last thing I have to say is good luck on your internship, and I'll see you all in the next video.